The sun had barely risen over Miami on the morning of December 10, 2022, when the tranquility of the luxury penthouse at the top of the city's most exclusive high-rise was shattered by a distress call. The apartment, with its panoramic views of the glistening ocean, had become the scene of an unsettling discovery. Alex Mercer, a highly regarded FBI agent, was found lifeless in his opulent residence, surrounded by evidence of a struggle and an empty bottle of prescription drugs. Initial reports suggested a possible overdose, but the circumstances were too peculiar to dismiss. Alex Mercer, 38, had been a prominent figure in the FBI for over a decade. Originally from Boston, Mercer had risen through the ranks with a reputation for being meticulous and unyielding in his pursuit of justice. He was known for his involvement in high-profile investigations, particularly those related to organized crime and drug trafficking. His colleagues respected him for his dedication, though his intense focus on his work often left him isolated from friends and family. The penthouse where Mercer was found belonged to him, a symbol of his success and the considerable salary he earned from his position. The apartment was adorned with modern art and luxury furnishings, but it was the details of his death that would become the center of a complex and disturbing investigation. Detective Sarah Collins, a seasoned investigator with the Miami Police Department, was assigned to the case. At 45, Collins had seen her fair share of crime and intrigue, but the death of Alex Mercer presented a unique challenge. She was known for her sharp intuition and relentless pursuit of the truth, qualities that had earned her a reputation as one of Miami's top detectives. Collins arrived at the scene with her partner, Detective James Carter, a 40-year-old with a background in forensic science. Together, they began to piece together the events leading up to Mercer's death. The initial examination of the apartment revealed signs of a struggle: an overturned chair, a shattered lamp, and a broken vase. The empty prescription bottle found near Mercer's body indicated a potential overdose, but the detectives suspected there was more to the story. As Collins and Carter began their investigation, they learned that Mercer had been working on a high-profile case involving an international drug cartel. The cartel, known for its brutal methods and extensive network, had been the target of multiple investigations, but Mercer's work had recently intensified. He had been operating undercover, gathering crucial intelligence that was believed to be on the verge of breaking open the cartel's operations. The detectives soon discovered that Mercer had been involved in a secret relationship with Elena Vasquez, a 32-year-old journalist who had been covering the drug trade. Vasquez was known for her fearless reporting and had gained the cartel's ire for her exposés. Her relationship with Mercer had been a closely guarded secret, known only to a few trusted colleagues. The detectives interviewed Vasquez, who appeared distraught but cooperative. She claimed that Mercer had been in constant fear for his life due to the sensitive nature of his work. Vasquez revealed that Mercer had been receiving threatening messages and had been paranoid about his safety in the weeks leading up to his death. The detectives also interviewed Mercer's colleagues at the FBI. They painted a picture of a dedicated agent who had been increasingly withdrawn and stressed. His work on the cartel case had consumed him, leading to strained relationships with his team. Special Agent Mark Thompson, Mercer's direct superior, described him as a brilliant but troubled individual. Thompson, 50, had worked with Mercer closely and was well aware of the pressures he faced. He admitted that Mercer had been working with a confidential informant within the cartel, but the informant's identity was protected under strict secrecy. As the investigation deepened, Collins and Carter uncovered additional evidence that suggested Mercer's death might not have been a simple overdose. They found a hidden safe in the penthouse containing documents related to the cartel case, evidence of bribery, illegal transactions, and detailed notes about the cartel's operations. It was clear that Mercer had been deeply involved in the investigation, but the nature of the documents raised questions about his integrity and possible motives. The detectives' initial hypothesis, that Mercer's death was a tragic consequence of his high-risk profession, began to shift as they learned more about his recent activities. There were indications that Mercer had been negotiating deals with individuals connected to the cartel, and some of his communications had been intercepted by authorities. These developments pointed to the possibility that Mercer's death could be linked to a larger conspiracy involving more than just a simple drug case. As the sun set over Miami, the penthouse where Mercer had lived became a hub of activity for forensic experts and investigators. The city's vibrant nightlife continued outside, but within the apartment, the focus remained on unraveling the mystery of Alex Mercer's death. The detectives knew that they were only scratching the surface of a complex and dangerous case, one that would challenge their skills and test their resolve. In the days following Mercer's death, the investigation continued to unfold. The initial findings suggested that the case was far from straightforward, with layers of deception and intrigue hidden beneath the surface. As Collins and Carter delved deeper into Mercer's life, they began to uncover a web of secrets that would eventually reveal a shocking truth about the man they had once considered a hero. As Detective Sarah Collins and her partner, Detective James Carter, continued their investigation into Alex Mercer's death, they began to peel back the layers of the seemingly straightforward case. The initial findings pointed to a tragic overdose, but the evidence quickly suggested that Mercer's life and death were far more complex than they first appeared. Their first major breakthrough came when they accessed Mercer's private communications. The forensic team had managed to recover encrypted emails and text messages from his various devices. These communications revealed a side of Mercer that few knew, a man deeply entangled in a web of deceit and corruption. Among the messages, they found numerous exchanges between Mercer and various contacts linked to the international drug cartel he had been investigating. It became evident that Mercer was not merely an agent working undercover, but was deeply compromised. He had been engaging in clandestine negotiations with cartel members, discussing the purchase of illegal goods and the manipulation of evidence. One particular message stood out. It was a communication between Mercer and an anonymous contact referred to as the broker. In their exchanges, Mercer discussed the laundering of money and hinted at receiving substantial bribes. The broker's responses were terse and often threatening, suggesting that Mercer's compliance was not entirely voluntary. The detectives surmised that Mercer's involvement with the cartel had escalated beyond simple undercover work and had become a dangerous game of double dealing. The detectives needed to understand Mercer's motivations and connections better. They began by interviewing his close associates, starting with his partner at the FBI, Special Agent Mark Thompson. Thompson was a seasoned investigator who had known Mercer for years. At 50, he had witnessed many cases, but Mercer's situation was particularly troubling. Thompson described Mercer as a dedicated agent who had become increasingly isolated. Mercer's focus on the cartel case had driven a wedge between him and his colleagues. Thompson admitted that Mercer had been under enormous pressure, but he was shocked to learn of Mercer's involvement in corrupt dealings. Thompson revealed that Mercer had been working with a confidential informant, a crucial source who had recently gone missing. The informant's disappearance was another layer of the mystery that needed unraveling. As the detectives continued their interviews, they spoke with Elena Vasquez, the journalist who had been romantically involved with Mercer. Vasquez, a 32-year-old known for her fearless reporting, appeared devastated by Mercer's death. She provided insight into Mercer's state of mind in the months leading up to his death. According to Vasquez, Mercer had been increasingly paranoid and worried about his safety. He had received multiple threats from the cartel, and his anxiety had intensified as the investigation progressed. Vasquez also revealed that Mercer had become involved in a secretive deal with the cartel. He had been approached by cartel members offering substantial financial incentives in exchange for confidential information. Mercer, desperate for money and possibly feeling cornered, had reluctantly agreed to their terms. Vasquez's account painted a picture of a man trapped by his own decisions, struggling to maintain his cover while being pulled deeper into the cartel's grasp. The detectives' investigation also uncovered financial records indicating large, unexplained deposits into Mercer's bank accounts. The amounts were substantial, suggesting that Mercer had been receiving significant bribes. These financial irregularities aligned with the messages recovered from Mercer's devices and supported the theory that he had been involved in corrupt activities. Further investigation into Mercer's personal life revealed additional layers of complexity. The detectives discovered that Mercer had been living a double life, maintaining a facade of integrity while secretly engaging in illegal activities. His lifestyle, marked by luxury purchases and frequent travel, was funded by the money he had received from the cartel. The stark contrast between his public persona and private reality painted a troubling picture of a man who had lost his way. The case took another turn when the detectives located the broker, the mysterious contact from Mercer's communications. Through a series of covert operations, Collins and Carter identified and apprehended the broker, whose real name was Javier Morales, a known intermediary for the cartel. Morales, a 42-year-old with a reputation for ruthless efficiency, was initially uncooperative, but eventually confessed to his role in facilitating Mercer's corruption. Morales revealed that Mercer had been blackmailed into cooperating with the cartel. The cartel had discovered a sensitive piece of information about Mercer's family, using it to coerce him into their schemes. Morales' confession provided a crucial link in the chain of events leading to Mercer's death. It became clear that Mercer had been trapped between his duty as an FBI agent and the cartel's demands, ultimately leading to a deadly confrontation. The detectives also learned about Mercer's secret informant, who had been working with him to expose the cartel's operations. The informant, a former cartel member named Luis Ramirez, had gone missing under mysterious circumstances. Ramirez's disappearance was directly connected to Mercer's compromised position and the cartel's desire to eliminate any loose ends. As the investigation continued, Collins and Carter pieced together the evidence that suggested Mercer's death was not merely a tragic accident but the result of a carefully orchestrated plan. The cartel, aware of Mercer's dual role, had decided to eliminate him to protect their interests and ensure that their secrets remained hidden. The detectives were left grappling with the implications of their findings. Mercer's involvement with the cartel had been more profound than they initially realized, and his death had been a direct result of his betrayal. The investigation revealed a deeply troubled man who had been ensnared by the very forces he was supposed to combat. The chapter of Mercer's hidden life drew to a close with the realization that his death was part of a larger, more complex conspiracy. The detectives were now faced with the task of unraveling the full extent of the cartel's operations and bringing those responsible for Mercer's murder to justice. The case had become a tangled web of corruption and deceit, and the search for the truth was far from over. As Detective Sarah Collins and Detective James Carter delved deeper into the complexities surrounding Alex Mercer's death, the investigation took a more startling turn. The evidence suggested that Mercer's demise was not merely the result of cartel retribution, but also intertwined with a web of corruption within the FBI itself. The detectives' pursuit of the truth led them to uncover a scandal that threatened to undermine the very integrity of the federal agency. The first breakthrough came when Collins and Carter examined Mercer's professional network more closely. They reviewed records of his interactions with various high-ranking officials and found troubling patterns. One name, in particular, emerged repeatedly: Special Agent Robert King. At 48, King was known for his aggressive approach to criminal investigations and had recently been promoted to a key position within the FBI's Organized Crime Division. King had been a mentor to Mercer, providing guidance and support during the early stages of his career. However, as the investigation unfolded, it became clear that King's relationship with Mercer had taken a more sinister turn. The detectives discovered that King had been involved in covert meetings with known cartel members and had received substantial payments that matched the bribes found in Mercer's accounts. This revelation suggested that King had been orchestrating a double game, using his position to shield the cartel from investigations while exploiting Mercer's undercover work for personal gain. Collins and Carter confronted King with their findings. King, initially defiant, broke down under the weight of the evidence. He confessed that he had been involved in a covert arrangement with the cartel for years. The cartel had used King as a key player to manipulate and control FBI operations, ensuring that their criminal activities went unchecked. King admitted that Mercer had been a pawn in this elaborate scheme, unwittingly entangled in a plot that went far beyond his control. King's confession was a pivotal moment in the investigation, but it was only the beginning. The detectives had to untangle a broader network of corruption that implicated several other officials within the FBI. Through further investigation, they discovered that King's actions were part of a larger pattern of systemic corruption within the agency. A network of compromised agents and officials had been working in tandem with criminal organizations, manipulating investigations and ensuring that key players remained protected. The next major lead came from an unexpected source: Elena Vasquez, the journalist who had been involved with Mercer. Vasquez, driven by a sense of justice and betrayal, provided the detectives with a cache of documents she had uncovered while researching her own exposés. The documents included detailed records of financial transactions and internal communications that implicated multiple FBI agents in the cartel's operations. Among the documents was a list of names, including some high-ranking officials who had been involved in covering up criminal activities. Vasquez's information pointed to a covert meeting that had taken place between cartel leaders and certain FBI officials. The meeting, held in a secure location, had been arranged to discuss how to handle Mercer's growing concerns and the potential threat he posed to their operations. Collins and Carter used this information to coordinate a series of raids and arrests. The raids targeted individuals named in the documents and led to the uncovering of additional evidence, including recordings of conversations between cartel members and corrupt FBI agents. The evidence painted a damning picture of how deeply entrenched the corruption had become within the agency. The investigation culminated in a high-profile trial that exposed the full extent of the scandal. Special Agent Robert King, along with several other implicated officials, faced charges of corruption, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The trial revealed shocking details about the cartel's influence over the FBI and the systematic efforts to thwart justice. The courtroom was filled with media and public attention as the trial laid bare the corruption that had tainted the agency. During the trial, several witnesses testified about the cartel's reach and the manipulation of investigations. The testimonies revealed how Mercer had been used as a pawn in a dangerous game of power and deceit. His role as an undercover agent had been compromised by those he trusted most, and his death was a direct result of the internal corruption that had allowed the cartel to operate with impunity. In the end, the trial resulted in convictions for those involved in the scandal. Special Agent King was sentenced to life in prison, along with other high-ranking officials who had been found guilty. The FBI faced a massive overhaul, with new policies and procedures implemented to restore integrity and ensure that such corruption could not occur again. As the dust settled from the trial, Collins and Carter reflected on the case. The investigation had revealed a dark chapter in the history of the FBI. But it had also brought justice for Alex Mercer. His death, though tragic, had served as a catalyst for exposing the corruption that had threatened to undermine the agency's mission. Elena Vasquez, having played a crucial role in uncovering the truth, continued her work as a journalist, focusing on issues of corruption and justice. The documents she had provided were instrumental in bringing the scandal to light and ensuring that those responsible were held accountable. The case left a lasting impact on the FBI and the public's perception of the agency. It served as a reminder of the importance of vigilance and integrity in the pursuit of justice. For Collins and Carter, the case was a testament to their dedication and determination to uncover the truth, even in the face of overwhelming challenges. In the end, Alex Mercer's story was one of betrayal and redemption, a man caught in a web of corruption who, through his death, had exposed a critical flaw within the system. His legacy lived on as a symbol of the ongoing fight against corruption and the need for transparency and accountability within institutions meant to uphold the law.